In order, please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Again, good morning. Consideration of agenda items. Any additions or corrections to the agenda?
Yes, Mr. Chair, I have two changes to the agenda. Under County Administration, we're going to remove item D from the agenda this morning with Commissioner Szymanski missing the meeting. He's on vacation today. I didn't feel this was necessary to, without his presence at this meeting.
Okay.
And the second item would be to add to the agenda the cancellation of the SWAC meeting for tomorrow.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve the agenda with the corrections.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger. Is there a second? Second. Second by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Consent agenda.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Pohlmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Typically, we have some bills to pay, nothing this,
No.
all right? Making sure I didn't miss it. All right, Auditor Treasurer. Good morning.
Good morning. So I'm here today to talk about the 2018 Election Day Statistics Summary. November 6th, we did have our midterm election. The best comparable that we do pull 2016. That is a presidential, which means we're going to have a higher voter turnout. So the most comparable to this last election in November would be the 2014, which was the last midterm election. As of 7 a.m. on Election Day, McLeod County had 21,035 registered voters, which was up 1,000 from 14 and a little bit higher from 16 as well. We're continuing to see growth. And our Election Day registrants was at 1,010 voters. Those are individuals who registered, changed addresses, moved into McLeod County or within McLeod County, or name changes. And then we also had 15,051 individuals voting on Election Day here, which is up significantly again from 2014. In our mail ballots and absentees, we do have 3 mail ballot precincts currently, which are Plato City, Round Grove Township, and Biskie City, included in those stats. We had 2,022 absentee ballots. And comparable with that too, we also do the 7-day direct balloting, where individuals can come in 7 days prior to the election. They can actually have a voting experience of sliding their ballot through a machine. So we had 180, I just looked at the number, it's 81 or 83 individuals come into our office between the Tuesday before election, that Saturday before election, and that Monday before, come in and vote in our county offices as well. And then our voter turnout here in McLeod County was 71.55%. In 2014, that was 61.85. So our voter turnout here was spectacular, even comparing to statewide stats, which it was 64%. Any questions?
Any questions for Janet? I guess I have one regarding the
Poll books?
iPads. Did everything go all right with that?
Yes, we had really good feedback from those, both from our judges and from our participants using it. It seemed to be a very good experience. It does help. I have uploaded all of our election day information already, which generally takes us about 6 weeks. I'm ready to push the button and have it live in the system already. The user experience went well. Our trainings went smoothly with the judges. Obviously, it's going to be a continuing experience. Every election, we will continue to hold trainings on the poll books as technology always is changing, and our judges only touch that once every 2 years. So we'll continue that.
All right. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, no questions, but just like to thank you and Connie and your office for your hard work.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Public Works, John.
Morning.
Just one item for you today. We'd like to consider approval to purchase a Boss brand 8-foot snowplow blade from Central Hydraulics out of Hutchinson. Price is $6,050 plus tax, and had a comparable quote from L&P Supply for $6,792. This is a new snowplow blade for the parks pickup that was bought earlier this year.
All right, any questions?
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
John, before you go, sorry to put you on the spot, but I had some informal meetings about the fairgrounds floor with Randy over the week, and it sounds like it's progressing nicely. He did a kind of some, it's part of my commissioner report for my meetings, but I wanted you here in case I screw it up.
Sure.
And you can fix it, but sounds like he did some experimental work and really kind of dialed it in how to do it, and now the company's coming in to repair it. Is that accurate?
Trying to get it, we're trying to nail them down for a date to come in, I believe, the end of the month is what
Yeah, I
they're
heard the
looking at.
26th, right.
They were the company that installed the floor originally. On top of that, they were talking about having some, if we could provide some staff as well. So if we got, between snow and ice, we could probably put a few more staff at it under their direction as well, and to just expedite it more. But sounds like they can get at it pretty quick, a couple quarts at a time.
Okay, but
Sounds like-
we're getting there, right?
Yeah.
All right, thank you very much.
Yep.
All right, emergency management. Good morning, Kevin.
Morning.
Here before you briefly this morning to get signatures for our Region 5 mutual aid agreement for Southwest Minnesota. Originally, this agreement was placed in 2007, was signed by commissioners back then. We did do some changes this year as a region, so we did highlight a couple of changes. They were minor. We added the Upper Sioux and Lower Sioux tribal nations to our mutual aid agreement. And then we also changed the FEMA rate schedule. We removed our communications vehicles that were part of our region that no longer exist in the emergency management region. We gave those to the emergency communication boards in our respective regions. And then we also removed the technical and rescue team equipment out of the mutual aid agreement, as that really wasn't our equipment as our emergency managers. So that's really the only changes. So I don't know if you have any questions or.
Any questions for Kevin? I'll move to approve. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thanks, Kevin.
Okay, thank you.
Great. All right, we're going to discuss the mental health and crisis program. I have Melanie. Good morning.
Good morning.
Morning.
I'm very happy to be here this morning to give you an update about the mental health crisis program for McLeod County that's
Okay.
been created.
Well, welcome, and I'm just going to tell you, pull those mics over
Sure.
towards you.
There you go.
And
Is that better?
well,
Okay.
it'll feel like you're yelling, but trust me, nobody
All
can
right.
hear. Let's go.
You do have a packet. You have a packet of information that I put together for you that gives some outlines. So this is Mark Moore. He is one of the crisis therapists that's been hired to work as the mobile crisis response for McLeod County exclusively. And I'm Melanie Warm. I have supervised the Carver and Scott County Crisis Program for the last 23 years, and then have been involved in the development of the McLeod County Crisis Program since 2016. We've had some struggles along the way, just recruiting mental health professionals and professionals that are willing to go out into the community. So we've had a slow start, but at this point we are going, we're full force, and we're ready to kind of take referrals from any agency or individual in the county. I'm happy to say that the program has been very well received by the community, both by individuals in the community and by public and private agencies as well. To date, we've had referrals from Health and Human Services, case managers, from Glencoe and Hutchinson Hospital, from the schools, from the police departments, clergy actually have called us out on a case that they were working with, and then also individuals in the county. We have a brochure that has been distributed, hopefully widely enough. Have you seen this around at all? Have you?
I have.
Oh, good. We're hoping to get it out and about so that everyone in the county has exposure to it and knows that it's available. So like I said, Mark has been hired as a full-time crisis therapist. We also have another full-time person that's starting in December, and we have 3 other intermittent staff that are all exclusively hired to work just in McLeod County to provide services. So to give you an overview of the program, we provide services for adults and children, so we serve all ages. It is a program that provides services to anyone regardless of their ability to pay. We do bill insurance if they have that benefit in their package. So the crisis program, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, we have telephone crisis response services. So we have a live person that is answering the phone directly. We don't contract out that service. It's all part of the existing team of people. They're addressing basically whatever comes across. So it might be just information referral or talking somebody through a crisis situation or their depression, helping them deal with an anxiety attack, or somebody that's actively suicidal and we need to intervene and maybe call law enforcement at times. The phone person, so they're assessing the level of risk of that person, and then they are making a decision about is a mobile response required or needed. So then it would be at that point that the phone people would be responding and dispatching the mobile crisis staff out to the community, basically anywhere that is safe and appropriate to see people. So we're going into people's homes, the schools, the jails, community centers, the local, restaurants, and to be able to provide that service. So the mobile staff, they're going out, they are doing a brief diagnostic assessment, which is a billable service. They're doing a risk assessment, so risk to self, risk to others, determining what the level of care is that's most appropriate for that person, and then helping to coordinate that care. So it might be getting them into psychotherapy or out to their medical doctor for physical health issues, getting them into a psychiatrist, or residential stabilization, like you guys have in Woodland. I think it's Woodland Hills, I believe, or inpatient psych. So if somebody needs an inpatient psychiatry appointment, or inpatient psychiatry placement, we will help facilitate that placement. So like the Hutchinson Hospital has an inpatient psychiatric hospital placement. Otherwise, we go throughout the state, whatever is necessary. So we also have healthcare navigator services. So anyone we're seeing, we're helping them to make sure that they have insurance. And if they don't, then we're reaching out to them, helping them fill out applications so that they can get insurance, so that they have the services or the benefit to pay for the services that we're recommending. So we're working pretty closely with Health and Human Services, eligibility services, to make sure that they have insurance and that they're getting that service. That also is a part of reimbursing the crisis team as well, so it helps the sustainability of the program. We also have mobile stabilization services. So if someone is in crisis and we can keep them out of an inpatient hospital by being able to provide intensive in-home services, we have a stabilization staff, Mark's been doing that, where you're going in and it's brief individual therapy and helping coordinate the care, making sure they're staying safe. It's really a bridging kind of into ongoing services. So they'll stay involved until that person is stable and hooked up to a therapist or doctor, whoever they need to be. Let's see, what else? Oh, we have rapid access psychiatry appointments. Right now, we're doing them at First Street Center in Waconia. And we're working with Hutch Health to see if we can get their psychiatrists to provide some rapid access psychiatry for us. So, because oftentimes if we're seeing someone and we can get them into a psychiatrist right away, they don't have to go into an inpatient program. So, the handouts that you have provide a lot of information, additional information about our statistics and about the program design. The goal that we have is really to reduce costs, and that's why the Department of Human Services has grants that they've been offering and giving to counties. So we're reducing costs by avoiding ER visits, by avoiding inpatient psychiatry appointments, We're also trying to get people served in their, in their communities and in their homes, and utilize the existing services that are out here. As you probably have heard, there's a lot of shortages of inpatient psychiatry beds, so that's part of the goal and the mission of mobile crisis teams around the state. Actually, McLeod County was one of the last and final county to get going with mobile crisis services, and so there's a mobile crisis team in every county within the state now, so it's very exciting. This statute is very clear. Most of the teams are very consistent in how they're providing services and what they're doing as well. Let's see. So the program design at this point is Carver County is the fiscal agent for the McLeod County grant. We're also the hiring agent. And then, so at this point, we have grant funds all the way through December of 2020, which is very exciting. And yeah, and we're billing for services. So do you have any questions at this time? Because I could go on for hours talking about the program, so.
Yeah, we don't have hours, but no, in my line of work, which is the sergeant of the police department in Hutch, we see these pamphlets, and I think they're getting out there. So I don't know that the program's quite where we want it to be used yet, right?
Right.
From what I'm hearing from, I don't know, we had some constituents let us know that, there's some there, but I think it's good to have, and we're going in the right direction, so.
Yeah, yep, and we're going to be working very closely with law enforcement and with the hospitals. We won't be going into the hospitals to provide the services. We do that in Carver County, actually, but we'll be taking, like, people that aren't hospitalized inpatient, we'll be taking them into, like, stabilization or following up with them to make sure that they're getting connected to services. So it's kind of a safety net in a lot of ways, and we're just taking kind of the individuals and helping them get connected to services.
This may be not a fair question, and we don't have a ton of time, but how do you deal with the middle of the night call from law enforcement, or you don't? Right? What's the...
Right now, we have, like I said, telephone crisis response 24 hours a day. We have the mobile crisis team from 7 a.m. until midnight. So the calls on the overnight as they come in, it'll be triaged with the telephone person, and we'll do as much as we can with that. We could schedule an appointment in the morning with the individual or do an outreach to the individual. Unfortunately, we just don't have the staff at this point to be able to staff it mobile. So in Carver County, we have kind of on-call mobile crisis response, so they will go out to those imminent kind of calls.
Okay, all right, thank you. Any other questions? I'm sorry, I kind of hogged it.
No?
Okay, anything?
Great, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right.
Mr. Chair,
yes.
Carrie is not here yet this morning, so maybe we
Carrie's
should
not here yet.
proceed to the next item on the agenda.
Okay. Sheila, are you ready for yours?
Good morning.
Good morning.
Good morning.
Scott Grivna is out of the office today, so I'm handling a central service request. We're asking you to consider approval of the contract with Platinum Painting LLC. That's a local Glencoe company to paint the corridors of the courthouse and repair any cracked plaster areas in need of repair for the cost of $18,325. Funds coming from the General Revenue Fund.
All right.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. I just keep going? Into
Thank
the
you.
Human Resources?
Sure.
All right.
Item A, asking you to consider approval to hire a part-time public health registered nurse RN upon retirement of our current part-time LPN, licensed practical nurse, sorry. The reasoning for requesting an RN rather than an LPN is that an RN would have more flexibility in duties than the LPN role.
Okay. We vetted this in the Personnel Committee, and it's within their budget, correct, that they can handle?
Correct.
The potential increase in wages and benefits, so I'd move to approve.
I'll second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item B, asking you to consider approval to increase the 2019 non-union McLeod County Health Insurance monthly opt-out amount from $140.50 to $210.
All right, any questions for Sheila regarding this?
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Kruger. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item C, asking for you to consider approval to increase the 2019 non-union McLeod County Health Insurance contributions by $26.50 for each of the single HSA plans as follows. The $3,500 deductible county contribution would go from $766.50 to $793. The $5,000 deductible county contribution would go from $729.50 to $756. The $6,750 deductible county contribution would go from $712.50 to $739.
All right.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner Wright. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. Item D, asking you to consider approval to grant extension of personal leave for a full-time employee, start date of August 6, 2018, for a period between 2 weeks and up to 30 days, past the initial 30-day period, which takes place from November 2nd, 2018 through December 2nd, 2018, for the birth of their child. Meaning that they're on personal leave currently. The 30-day period would end on December 2nd, 2018. Asking you to extend that from a period of 2 weeks or up to 30 days as needed.
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
All right. Cindy, you want to just keep going? Amanda, do you know if
Amanda?
Kara's coming?
Okay.
She is, okay. So, all right.
Let's move on to Commissioners.
Yeah, we'll take the
under
calendars
administration.
then. Go ahead, Rich.
Okay, since our last meeting, on the 7th, I attended the MEDA meeting. Interesting meeting as far as showing different places where people can hide drug-related items. The 10th, I attended the AC banquet, the Alice Chalmers banquet in Hutch at the fairgrounds. Good to hear that they're concerned about what goes on in the fairgrounds as well as we are. 13th, we had the personnel committee, which we just went through a couple items that just approved and did the caucus or canvass the election results. 14th, they had Pack for Families meeting in Olivia, looking again at the possibility of one new program coming forward, but before that happens, needed some more information on that. Also had the JD4 ditch hearing in the afternoon. On the 16th, had a emergency meeting on JD32 to discuss a culvert situation along with County Road 15 there. And the other thought I have is I want to wish everybody a happy Thanksgiving.
Okay, the main meetings over the past couple weeks, Rich mentioned JD4, and so we're now one meeting away from completing the predetermination on another ditch system, which is a very, very good thing. MRF committee, now we will not be meeting with our SWAC tomorrow, but things that we talked about there, we have a new collection contract coming up for renewals that'll be getting worked on for the next couple months, as well as setting up for our next meeting with the agricultural recycling program. And then a few of us were able to attend the annual 4-H banquet on Sunday afternoon.
All right, following our last board meeting, we had a workshop discussed a variety of items. Later that week, I had a community health board meeting. We amended the delegation agreement, as we discussed as a full board here, regarding the stipend and the service contracts as they come through. So I think we've met those expectations of this board and Meeker and Sibley, but we'll continue to be able to tweak those if we need to. Had a department head meeting and a personnel meeting. Sheila covered the personnel items already. And I mentioned earlier with John, some informal meetings regarding the fairgrounds and the floor and the repair on that, but it sounds like we're getting that fixed, which is good because I think it's pretty well booked solid for the winter. So, Doug?
All right, since the last meeting, I had a Crow Joint Powers Board meeting in Litchfield. I also, on the 13th of November, I went to Owatonna to attend a drainage research forum. It was a little above my pay grade. It was a lot of professors and doctors from the University of Minnesota, South Dakota, and Iowa, but it was pretty interesting to see the direction drainage and polluted waters are going. There's a lot of things that they're getting into: bacteria testing, nitrates, all kinds of different generation systems that are, I don't want to say not practical for us, but they're very expensive. And I also, I attended the JD4 meeting that was commented on earlier, and Cindy, and Sheila met with City of Glencoe's economic development and reviewed several ideas that the economic development team are exploring. I also met with Cindy and Sheila and Hal Kimball from Blue Horizon Energy. We're just exploring solar panels, if it's practical, to try and do something that in conjunction with our new building. It's just an exploratory thing, and it's quite interesting actually. But and on Sunday, I also attended a 4-H banquet in Hutchinson, and I guess I skipped on the 16th. We had a MRF committee meeting also in Hutchinson, and that pretty much brings us to today.
Cindy, anything to add?
No, I don't have anything to add, Mr. Chair. Thank you.
All right. Carrie, we're good. Glad to see you. Yeah. If you're not early, you're late.
Moving quick today.
Oh, really? I thought them little puns were for me. I spent most of my time in between earlier. That's why attention is just maxed.
All right, well, thank you for your time today. As you know, I'm Carrie Ward and I work for McLeod County Public Health.
Scott Bible, Line of Health EMS.
And we're both part of the McLeod County Safe Roads
Carrie,
Coalition.
can you make sure that you speak into the microphone?
And you might as well just
Yes.
hold a second until
Thank
it
you.
sits down.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, or Commissioner.
All right. Okay, so I'm Carrie Ward. I am a public health educator at McLeod County Public Health, but I am the secretary for the McLeod County Towards Zero Death Safe Roads Coalition.
I'm Scott Weibel. I'm the chair for the McLeod County Towards Zero Death Safe Roads Coalition.
And we have a few of our coalition members in the audience. If you want to just wave. Doug is our treasurer, and then Mandy and John are just also coalition members as well. And being a new coalition through the Towards Zero Death program, they have asked us to try to come to the local government and present on what we're doing. So thank you for your time today. So our mission is on the lovely banner here that we've used at our county fair the last couple of years. It's been on one of our plows at the county fair, but it is to decrease traffic-related injuries and deaths in McLeod County through our partnerships and collaboration. And currently we have the McLeod County Highway, County Sheriff, County Attorneys, Public Health, MnDOT, State Patrol, Hunky Funeral Home, 3M, Miller Brand, but I think she might be leaving the group spot to look for another manufacturing group, GRHS, GSL Schools, the McLeod County Police Chiefs Association, Alina EMS out of Glencoe and Hutchinson Fire are currently on our coalition. And now okay. I can see it, but it keeps popping off and on up there on your screen, so I apologize. So these are the regions that we sit in for the Towards Zero Death regions, and we are in the Southwest region, and Annette Larson is our regional rep from the state. So that's just a reference there. And we take the approach of the 5 E's actually. So of course, as I just dropped a whole bunch of my papers, I'm sorry. The cornerstones of TZD are what we have on our coalition. So enforcement, engineering, education, EMS, trauma, and then everyone else. So like legislation, judicial, that's why the attorneys are there. You have anything to add?
Nope, they're doing great.
All right. And when this pops back up again, this shows why we started Towards Zero Death in 2003. We were at almost 600 deaths across Minnesota, and over the course of time and the efforts of Towards Zero Death coalitions and the work we do at the state level, it has decreased down to the preliminary data from, I believe that's 2017, 2016 is 357 deaths. So by 2020, they want to get under 300 deaths across the state related to traffic safety.
Carrie, one note there. When I started in 1982, we were killing between 950 and 1,000 people each year on our roads. Look at what the change has been. And it's not any one thing. It's the enforcement, it's the design, it's the safety of the vehicles, it's all of that stuff.
And so this is the last truly updated piece of data we received. They're working on the new ones, and that page is a little harder to read, so I chose to use this one. But this was data from 2011 to 2015, and it shows on the left side, it talks about our crashes in McLeod County, and lane departure is our highest issue with crashes. And then intersection issues, older drivers, inattentive is rated 3, unbelted and speed is rated 5th, and that's still surprising that we still have unbelted issues. The law, it's the law. It's a primary enforcement law. It changed in June 2009, so they have to wear it. They can be ticketed just for not wearing their seatbelt. So we still have that lack of using that seatbelt. And then speed was also with unbelted and younger drivers was ranked 7. So we always think it's the younger drivers, but it's not necessarily the case. And so we look at that data. Ooh. I'm going to log you out, Karen, if that's okay, so that doesn't pop up. All right, so this is the work we've been doing. How about you talk for a little bit?
So, yeah, our group has been out, we just a quick little brief history. We started in 2011. It's been a slow road to get to where we're at today, trying to get the buy-in of everybody. We're finally at a point to, come and introduce ourselves to you folks here, but we've been working with several different partners, trying to get our name out there and trying to get our safety messages out there. A couple of the bigger ones that we've been working with has been 3M and Ridgewater with getting our message out there. We've done several different events where we've either been asked to be included or tried to interject ourselves into it. Between the county fair, Ridgewater Welcome Day, when all the students are coming back, so they get some of this information to try to target that group. We hear about Kids Day at the Hutchinson Mall is a pretty good day for us. We interact with several people with different brochures. We have a rollover simulator that we can simulate what it looks like when you're not wearing a seatbelt when a vehicle rolls over, so they get the gist of what it actually looks like with the dummy flying out of a vehicle, along with a drunk cart. It's a little trike that you can pedal around and put different goggles on that starts a blood alcohol, I think, at 0.04 and goes all the way up to a 0.4, something like that. And then you have a few different kind of drugs that when you put these goggles on, it gives people opportunity to try to weave this through the cones to give them some idea of their perception of what they think they see and what they really are seeing. So we've really done very well the last couple of years with people interacting with that. We put some drowsy driver toolkits out at some different work sites, as well as last year we had some of the flower shops and tucks and dress rental places put little cards with safe driving statistics and facts and stuff on all the tuxedos and flowers and stuff for all the prom kids as they came and got them.
Mm-hmm. And in this drowsy driver toolkit, 3M actually used the fatigue calculator in there, and they estimated drowsy employees could put them at risk for over $2 million related to accidents, productivity, all kinds of things. So just that education to 3M to change the way they're doing work and addressing their shift work can relate to a lot of different health or safety concerns over time. So that was quite exciting with the Drowsy Driver Toolkit. And then Millibrand shared that toolkit we put out to work sites with 30 other HR directors she knew. So that was getting beyond just our coalition, which was really great. So these are some pictures of the buckle up stencils we've done, and we were thankful that we got approval to do them at our county parking lots. And the top picture is the drunk cart, and then our banner at the county fair, and our little prom postcard that we have at the Tux Rentals and the flower shops. So what are we currently working on? 2019, we're going to work on a new work plan, which we'll talk about later today at our coalition meeting. But some of the things we continue to do is look at a fatal review committee meetings that we have after our coalition meetings, which actually takes the sheriff and state troopers walking through the crashes we have in McLeod County that has serious injury or fatalities, and looking at the 4 E's and seeing what we could do differently in that crash site. And a lot of times it's speed, distraction, impairment, unbelted. Those are still the top 4 things we're seeing when we're doing these fatal review committee meetings. So we're going to pursue funding since we are a 501c3, and Scott can tell you a little bit more about that grant opportunity. But in 2019, we're going to do a mock crash at Glencoe Silver Lake and do round robin in the years to follow. So one in Hutch the year after, and then Holy Trinity, Winstead, Lester Prairie the year after that, I think.
Right.
And I'm going to work with the students we have on our coalition on some social media pieces as well. So this is just a little bit of background of we are McLeod County's coalition, but we are housed in the Southwest region. So their vision is just to reduce the fatalities and injuries across the roads. We want to reduce it to 0. Their mission is to same as ours, to use education, enforcement, engineering, and EMS to change our road safety. So this is the strategic highway safety plan, and this piece is related to that day I came, right, John? When we talked about our safe roads plan, this kind of plays into this plan, right? Right. Yes. Okay. So that was a year ago? Okay, so we were involved in the local level of this at McLeod's planning day, and then that information is fed into the strategic highway safety plan as well. So they're trying to target in 2020 less than 300 fatalities and less than 850 serious injuries. So we're working on changing the culture. We just had a large conference in October. It was held in where was I? Mankato. So Trooper Fredrickson was there, Sergeant Wozniak, myself from our coalition was at that 2-day conference. Over 800 people across Minnesota attend. 2/3 of them are law enforcement, but the rest are education and EMS and others. And we're learning to change that culture in traffic safety, looking at all parts and pieces. So learning what our best practices are. And right now, 2017, the 0 fatality counties are in blue. Those are the only counties in 2017 that did not have a fatality in their county. So still lots of work to do. This looks closer at what our fatality levels are across our region, and we sit at 14. Wilmer and Candy, Ohio County are pretty high as well. And Redwood is 17, Meeker is 18. Meeker also has a coalition, Sibley does not. So we might eventually do some work across county lines. So again, comparing the fatalities, the big four remain is impairment, distraction, seatbelt use, and speed. And teens and young adults continue to be overrepresented in the crashes. So any questions for us? Kept it short and sweet.
That's great. Any questions for Carrie?
And I may have missed it, but inattentive driving seems to be a really, for me, or what I see personally, is that, I mean, are you going to start stressing that?
We are, and we're finding just with qualitative data from law enforcement, it isn't the kids. He's seeing the 25 to 45-year-olds messing on their phones while they're driving, while they're multitasking, taking their kids to sports, et cetera, et cetera. So it's a bigger problem than just the teens and the young kids as well. So we're looking at that. And
I
think
agree, there might even be some 70-year-old people that aren't so good at it either.
we just have to learn that it's not that important, and we have to be role models. That was the biggest thing. I mean, we've probably all used our phone in our vehicle, and being on this coalition, we should really take that stance of not even touching it while we're in the car. And it can wait. It totally can wait. Our life isn't that busy that we can't wait to do it. And if we have to, we should be pulling over.
And so many people nowadays want to walk or bike or whatever, and or even for the construction workers working,
right.
It's a day-to-day close, near miss or whatever they call it nowadays.
Right. So Sergeant Wozniak and myself are taking turns with these toolkits. He'll push like the enforcement pieces out, and there's a set calendar around distraction, around impairment, and things like that, where the toolkits I'll be working on with some of our committee members are like the work zone, how to drive around a roundabout, how to zipper merge, those things that we all still have difficulty doing that might play into our traffic safety piece. I know the Hutchinson Fire Department also has an open house every year that we might be involved in more. I'm a certified child passenger safety technician, so we might be bringing some of that car seat safety pieces into the work we do eventually, but we're trying to look at what's really affecting us on those top four pieces when we do our fatal reviews.
And just recently, we did obtain our 501c3, as that slide kind of didn't really clarify that. So now with that, we'll be able to start soliciting donations from all sorts of groups. So along with all our other stuff coming up, we hope to start securing some funds to actually start maybe doing billboards and more things with the local bars about, serving and any kind of stuff we can put at their table tents, so on and so forth. Along with becoming a 501c3, Carrie mentioned earlier the part of there's a state grant that will apply for this year now being 501c3. If we're successful in doing that, it actually secures us enough money to hire a executive director at about a 0.5-ish level. So we would actually have somebody day-to-day, as it were, kind of setting these things up and getting out to the bars and getting out to the businesses and looking at billboards and working with other partners and things like that. So that was really a big step. Like I said, since 2011, we've been working on it, and we finally just got it 2 months ago. So it was pretty exciting for this group to make it that far.
One of the events that I think is the best that you guys is that We Care About Kids Day at the mall. How many people go through that, do you think?
I would say 300 to 400.
Yeah, it's great. I mean, my opinion, I think it's a great deal.
Ridgewater this fall was our first year. When they do Welcome Day, they provide food, so the kids come. So it was a great way to actually engage with them and have conversations. Sure. And Doug and I worked that event, and I thought it went fairly well too. So I'm hoping, I know Heather at Ridgewater said we can do advertising and promotion there. It's just a matter of getting that all set up. And when you're running on executive committees doing a lot of the hardcore work, it'll be nice if we can secure that executive director to be pushing a lot of this out.
Any other questions?
Yeah, just to comment on that distracted driving. So because I get to drive a tractor several times up and down the road, you look down and see people doing all kinds of things. And embarrassingly, the talking on the phone is nearly on the minor end of the scale. I've seen them typing on a laptop. I even saw a new one not too long ago where a guy had his magazine clamped on a steering wheel and he was reading that as he went by. So it's really a nasty topic of what people are doing instead of paying attention. And the death count is one thing to measure, but then it's some of those very serious accidents.
Right,
There was not too far away from me this fall, we had one death on County Road 7 and another one that will be paralyzed forever from that one. So that's not in the numbers, but it's still
Right, it's the tip of the iceberg when we talk traffic safety. There's so much more cost related to a crash than just that death. Because it's the injury, the recovery, all those doctor therapy visits, and everything else. So it adds up.
I would just applaud you guys on the work you're doing and urge you to continue, and I'm sure you'll get my support all the way.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right, back to county administration, item A.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chair. The first item is notification of the Truth and Taxation meeting at 6 p.m. here at the Blanco City Center on December 6th. I also like to mention at this time that the notices are in the mail. Either you would have received yours yesterday or you received yours today. And Mike received his yesterday.
Me too. Here's these darn commissioners.
The second item I have for you this morning is to approve the revised accounts payable policy. Essentially, this was due to a finding by the state auditor this year that it's on page 1 of the policy that's attached in your packet. Initially, when we approved this accounts payable policy, we had social services still continuing to pay their bills once a month to their vendors, and we are now changing that to twice a month, so that would allow for a timely payment of their bills, which by statute is 35 days. So this will help with that. In addition to anything that was in the policy that had auditor treasurer has been changed to the finance department. Do you have any questions for me?
Just run that social services piece by me one more time. So they're still going to pay their own bills, but they're going to do it twice a month?
That's correct.
Okay.
And the county currently pays all their bills every Friday, which they do as well. However, their client payments that only are paid through after the social services meeting, they're only paid once a month. So now they can be paid twice a month. And it's not all the clients, it's just the vendors that have a short turnaround time. When they send us the bill, they miss that cutoff, and then they don't get paid for another 6 weeks.
Is there, and maybe this is a conversation to have offline, but is there a way to meld that into our newly formed finance department in the future? That
Well,
they're
they
handling
have, but see, the client payments are confidential, so they can't be put on the website with the rest of our bills. So
Fair point.
we are doing that already.
Okay, so the finance department is overseeing it, but it's
Correct.
kept off the website by running it through that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions?
Mr. Chair, we need a motion on that.
Yep.
I do need a
We
motion.
approve the revised account payable policy.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer, is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay, so then with approving the new accounts payable policy, item C, I need you to adopt Resolution 18 CB 29, delegation of authority to pay certain claims.
All right, any
So
questions?
moved.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Polmeyer, second by Commissioner Wright. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Okay. Item D, we removed from the agenda. Item E is to adopt Resolution 18 CB 28 to appoint Dr. Quinn Strobel of Midwest Medical Examiner's Office to act as McLeod County Medical Examiner effective January 1st, 2019 through December 31st of 2022.
Mr. Chair, I move to approve 18 CB 28.
Motion by Commissioner Kruger, and I'll second it. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you. And the last item is just a notification of canceling the SWAC meeting tomorrow morning. That was scheduled for 11 a.m. on Wednesday, the 21st.
Very good. To the point on our agenda of the open forum, anyone wish to address the board? Press relations, any questions? Yes.
That is correct. So we should probably announce that, too.
Yep, so before we recess, I'll read this. The next board meeting is December 6th at 4:30 PM, just prior to the Truth and Taxation meeting, which is at 6 PM.
That's correct.
It'll be at the Glencoe, right here, at the Glencoe City Center Ballroom. And that is a change. It's a Thursday, and it's in the evening. Typically, it's Tuesday mornings.
Correct.
All right, anything else to come before the board? If not, is there a motion to recess?
So moved.
Motion by Commissioner Wright, second by Commissioner Polmeyer. Any discussion? Hearing none, proceed to vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you, everybody.